Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. With this episode we have passed the halfway mark in the entire run. There's still a long way to go, but I just want to touch on my plans for the rest of the episodes for a minute or two. There are 4 episodes left of this season, including this one, before it will go on hiatus for a few months. Then season 4 will be longer than they have been in the past at 14 episodes, covering issues 37 to 50. There will be another short break after that before the 5th and final season begins, covering tapes 51 to 64. There were only 61 official issues of Commodore format, but the folks at the unofficial blog put together 3 additional tapes to bring us to the magical number 64, so I will be looking at those too. In the meantime though, let's get back to today's tape. It contains the second part of Corya, a game of Water Polo, PD versions of Pac Man and Tetris, and a Sprite demo. Let's get on with the show. We begin with a refreshing game of Water Polo from our friends at Gremlin Graphics. This is a pretty tricky simulation of a rather niche sport. I only managed to score 1 goal during my time with it. It's also quite long-winded as well, with each quarter of play lasting 7 whole minutes, which is the same length of time as the real thing. The graphics are quite nicely defined, while the sound is quite minimal, with just a basic crowd noise and the ref's whistle. The best part of the whole thing is the instant replays, quite impressive on the C64, but bog standard for a sports game nowadays. I couldn't quite get the hang of the controls. Passing to the teammate I intended to proved rather challenging. I bet it would be a lot more fun with a second human player though. Not awful, but not that great either. Our second game is ATA, which is a Tetris clone from Utopia, purveyors of PD software. It's a pretty good version too, with some nicely defined graphics, an enjoyable SID tune to listen to while you play, and some responsive controls. My only minor gripe would be that pushing down on the joystick drops the piece to the bottom of the well instantly, rather than speeding up its fall. I would have put the insta drop on the up direction maybe, and kept down as the speed up. It's just a small thing and a matter of personal taste though. As it is, this is a nice version of the classic game that works very well on the hardware. Now we come to the second part of the text adventure, Corya. I don't have too much to say here because we pretty much covered it all last time. I'm not a fan of the genre, it's not very exciting to watch a clip of this game, etc, etc. Anyway, this time around the action goes from the burnt out village to the surrounding forest. A password, which is given to you at the end of part 1, or found in the magazine, allows you to continue where you left off. No doubt this is a solid title for those who do enjoy their text adventures, but it's not really for me. Snackman is up next, which is another PD offering, this time from Odus, those guys who had an ad on the previous tape. This is a Pac Man clone and it plays fairly well. The gameplay is pretty much as you would expect and the controls are good too. The sound is also a pretty good facsimile of the game that inspired it. Rather than ghosts though, the enemies are all just shapes, either squares or circles, which is a little unimaginative. I do like that the layout of the mazes change every few levels, that helps keep things interesting. At the end of the day though, it's Pac Man, so it really depends on how you feel about that game. I find it kinda boring, to be honest. To round off Power Pack 33, there's a simple Sprite demo and explanation, which goes with an article in the magazine. You can play around with the demo, but it doesn't really do very much. It's just there to show you how the code functions in practice. The real point of the thing is the explanation that goes along with it, to give you a basic understanding of how to code sprites. It's pretty cool that Commodore Format were taking the time to do this sort of thing for their readers. Though being just a stupid kid at the time, I was probably disappointed that the valuable space on the tape was being used for this stuff and not another full game. So there you have it. For me, ATA, the Tetris clone, was by far the best thing on this tape. The rest of the stuff is just a bit boring in my opinion. Hopefully things will pick up a bit in Power Pack 34. We'll find out in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, take care.